Okay, today we continue with our class Hilchot Talmud Torah, Rambam, and we start with Sefer Chofetz Chaim. And the big topic is the same, contrast of Lashon Hara versus Rechilus. Okay. Next one, exaggeration. The rule that a slender cannot be justified, slender. So a slender is not something that is not true. Right? Slender cannot be justified, even for a constructive purpose, would seem to be without exception. The Chofetz Chaim, however, speculates that if one cannot bring about a given constructive result without exaggerating, then it may be accepted. The case he cites is where one is attempted to dissolve the partnership between two children, one of whom is bad influence upon the other. If the victim will not be influenced to end the relationship, unless the evil of his friends are exaggerated, this may be permissible. The guidelines for such exemption are very sensitive, and one cannot rely upon it without proper consultation with competent halakhic authority. So, one of the rules, as we said, we cannot exaggerate when we even allowed to talk for constructive purpose. So, but here is example. It's one of the exceptions. They say, okay, you exaggerate to dissolve the partnership between the children. So children, they're not very understanding, right? So sometimes you have to you give them extra, exaggerate, basically, right? So maybe that boy is not so bad, but you say a little extra because that's what he's tending to be, right? So it's like an exception. Okay, I'm not sure where is everybody. That's very interesting. 1 second. Okay, no problem. So we continue with chapter 2 and Halachah number also 2. So let's read the whole Halachah. So it says, children should be brought to study under the teacher's instruction at the age of 6 or 7, according to the child's health and build. Below age of 6, he should not be brought to a teacher. The teacher may employ corporal punishment to cast a fear upon the students. However, he should not beat them cruelly like an enemy. Therefore, he should not beat them with a rod or staff, but rather with a small strap. The teacher should sit and instruct them the entire day and for a portion of the night. To train them to study during the day and night. The children should not neglect their studies at all, except at the end of the day, on the eve of Shabbos and festivals, and on the festivals themselves. On the Shabbos, they should not begin a new material. However, they should review what was studied previously. The children should never be interrupted from their studies, even for the building of the temple. So let's understand. It's very interesting. So we go by one, and we're going to explain all of them. Beezrat HaShem. So it says children should be brought to the study under the teacher's instruction at the age of 6 or 7. So now under the teacher's instruction. Commentary. As mentioned, chapter 1, Halachah 6, and commentary. Even before child reaches this age, his father would teach him particular verses from the Torah. So I mean, he or she. I mean, let's talk about the boy, right? So he's pretty capable to learn. So up to this age of 6, he can learn how to read and write and many things. Absolutely, right? But the Rambam is talking about Halachah. So if you can find a private tutor for your child early, yeah, do it. But otherwise, from the 6 or 7, right, or at the age of 6 or 7, commentary, not the passage from Baba Basra quoting the previous Halachah that. Okay, continue. according to the child's health and build. So some children, for example, they're very sick, and they were very not sick, they're sickly, also sickly and weak. So they're not so advanced as other people, as other kids. Okay. So 7. So for them it would be very hard to learn the whole day. So 7. This would determine when he would be able to begin the long and rigorous study program described in this halachah. So as Rambam said further in this halachah, it says the whole day and partial night. So it's a lot, right? So the child should be strong enough. Below the age of 6, he should not be brought to a teacher. Commentary. For he will not be able to absorb the studies. Okay, some things like he can memorize, but absorb the studies, according to Rambam, is not so much. At present, it is customary to send children to school much early ages. They are not subjected to such a rigorous schedule, and much of the time is devoted to activities other than actual studies. Nevertheless, the presence in a school is important to develop their character and commitment to Jewish values. So I think it's beautiful explanation. So they go to kindergarten, even, I don't know, like 4 years old, 3-4 years old. Okay, they learn some things. Of course, it's not like a schedule what the Rambam described, but they build them up slowly. And of course, today it's it's going to be us, or it's going to be professionals who deals with children. And I saw these professionals with young children. They're so good. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So, right? That's why today we send them in early age, and this teacher should take care of them. Of course, they should be God-fearing teacher. Not every teacher can teach them something positive. Of course. Continue. A teacher may employ corporal punishment to cast fear upon the students. Okay, corporal punishment. The advice that Proverbs 13:24 gives a father, right? He that spared the rod hates his son. So rather, it's like a stick, right? If he does not use his stick on his son, so he hates him. So of course, it's you have to understand that all of these punishment, educational punishments, not because somebody wants to hurt his children. Okay, 1 second. So, and this is also applies to a teacher, and he has to employ corporal punishment. Indeed, Marcus 8a equates teacher to a father in this respect, because now teacher is taking the father's place, right? And he has to punish them, like motivate them. So fear the biggest motivation, right? The Marcus 22b relates to Zechariah 13:6. What are these wounds? So the question. Those which I was wounded in the house of my beloved. Refers to beating administered to the school children. So I'm not sure. So I mean, even in the older age, Zacharias had these wounds. Like I get scars or something. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what is it Zacharias wounds or somebody else. I'm not sure. I don't want to say. Okay, so basically we see that that's what they did in olden days. See also chapter 3 Halachah 12 and chapter 4 Halachah chapter 4 Halachah 5. So we're going to get to it. Continue. However, he should not beat them cruelly, like an enemy. So commentary. Note the parallel of this expression in Yirmiyahu 30:14. Not also chapter 4, Halachas 4 and 5, which recommends a restraint and patience on the teacher's part, right? That's what we That's what we're going to say. So the teacher should see all of the students not like they rebel against them. It's a teacher. It's not like he's against. It's a little kid. That's what the kids do. You understand? So somebody who wants to be a teacher has to be very, very patient. Therefore, he should not beat them with a rod or a staff, but rather with a small strap. So Baba Basra, same place, relates that Rav instructed Rav Shmuel bar Shilat, as a well-known teacher of children. When you beat a child, beat him only with a sandal strap. So I mean, I'm not sure how long is a sandal strap, but as we understand, it's not something like crazy. If it motivates him to study, then he will study. If he does not study, then let him be in the company of others. So some children and adults, they're just not capable of studying. Some are lazy, so these lazy ones are going to get encouraged with this a little beating. But others, maybe they're not mature enough, or some other maybe not capable, they're not that sharp, so let them be. I mean, we're not trying to hurt the little kids, but we try to encourage them. There's two different things. So if he cannot be encouraged, so let him be. From Rav's words, we can infer the corporal punishment may be employed to try to motivate students to be more attentive. However, if it does not prove to be a successful tool, it should not be used further, lest it creates a permanent aversion to the Torah study. Right? Of course, that's what they would say. You know what? I don't like Torah because of this and this. Okay, of course, it is not true. That's not what they like Torah, but sometimes it creates this memory from the childhood, and they employ them this excuse to follow their desires. Okay. The teacher should sit and instruct them the entire day and for a portion of the night, to train them to study during the day and the night. Okay. So that as adults they will be accustomed to fulfill obligation to study during the day and during the night, as mentioned in chapter 1, Halachah 8. So that's very, very important advice, right? So you train the children, so they have to study the whole day and parts of the night. And I see adults that, for example, they learn in a school, or maybe some went to college, and then after a big break, I don't know, 5-10 years, for 15 years, but now we're trying to study together, and it's too much for them because they're not used to. You understand? So it's very hard. It's very hard for them. So, but if you start the training from a young childhood, or even like if you all your life as an adult Jew you've been studying. So it's plus minus few hours. It does not matter. I mean, of course, you're going to feel if you add 2 or 3 or 4 hours extra during on a day of study, but it's not something like out of this world. Okay, continue. The children should not neglect their studies at all, except at the end of the day, on the eve of Shabbos and the festival. So let's see, 13. They should study in the morning of these days and not in the afternoons. So I mean on Shabbos, on Friday, right? So on Friday, it's in all of the yeshivas they open half a day. It depends on a season, but usually till 1 p.m., 12:30, something like that. Right? Why? Because the children, of course, parents have to prepare for Shabbos. Of course, they cannot drive and pick up children later on. Okay, that would be too much. Okay. So, but otherwise, yeah, that's okay. So, I mean, and then plus teacher also has to prepare for Shabbos. Okay, so until the noon, as I say, but not no later than that. The commentaries have a question the source of Rambam statements. Some have pointed to Sukkah 28a, which praises Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai for never leaving the house of study except on the eve of Pesach and the eve of Yom Kippur. Similarly, Pesachim 109a applies this praise to Rabbi Akiva. However, it is difficult to say that these are the sources of Rambam's statements. Firstly, the passages refer to the adults and not to the children. Also, but I think as we just explained, okay, maybe it does not apply. This passage do not apply to adults. I mean, they apply to adults, but not children. But maybe they needed at home the children to help their parents, and plus what is it? The teacher himself, he has to observe Shabbos, right? He also needs to be home. So I'm not sure why they say there is okay, but continue. Also, the fact that the passages cite the behavior of these sages is worthy, as the praise seemed to imply that it was exceptional and not a rule followed by most. Okay, but that's rule what we actually follow, right? In actuality, on Friday it's half a day. Okay. Also, by the way, they say that there is a huge merit to learn in on Friday afternoon. Why is it the huge merit? Because not too many people learning. People are running around, go shopping. I'm not sure. One time, many years ago, we went on Thursday night, and it was not smartest idea ever. And we thought that would be smart. We went after the midnight. So where I live, this stores open till 2 or 3 in the morning on Thursday. It was so many people. It was such a waste of time. Unbelievable. Especially before Pesach or before Pesach. The Pesach Eve, they would be open till maybe till the morning, maybe till 4 a.m. So people still shopping, yeah. And so it's very interesting. So continue. It was number 13. Okay, so they say, and so they would be free of studying on Shabbos and on the eve of Shabbos and festival, and on festival themselves. 14. For study might disrupt the child's conception of the air of rejoicing and celebration that must accompany the festival. It must be noted that Rambam suggests that adults use some of their time for the festival to study. Hilchot Shviat Yom Tov. So it's actually there it says that outside you say half for HaShem and half for yourself. So half for HaShem, meaning that you go what is it? You pray. You usually the prayer is longer on Yom Tov, and then you study, and then half a day you rejoice. But don't make the whole day of Yom Tov a waste of life. Okay. So that's the problem is when somebody have guests over. So you have to entertain the guest, and if they're not such a Torah observant people, so you get stuck. That's the biggest torture ever. Okay, so it's very, very proper to learn on Yom Tov. Continue. On the Shabbos, they should not begin a new material. So why is that? I mean, of course. But as I just want to point out, so for adults, they say, yeah, adult has to learn partially like on Yom Tov. But for children, for them, as we learned before, they're suffering. They do not understand what you want from them, right? They've been learning all of these days, from the morning until evening, and now it's Yom Tov. so they cannot rejoice. So that's a little too much for them, right? On them, so we're going easy on them and let them play, eat sweets and candies or whatever they eat, and don't overburden them. But for adults, there is no such excuse, because many people have this excuse that I'm working, I'm taking care of the family, this and that, and I don't have time to learn. Okay, but on Yom Tov you're not working, so you can work. You can actually learn the whole day. So that's the biggest test, the best test. What person is going to do? Now you're off. You ate, right? You don't have to cook. You don't have to go anywhere. So you ate a great meal. So what are you going to do? Okay. So about Friday, so we say do not start new material on Friday. For grasping it involved difficulty and strain, which should be avoided on Shabbos. Okay. So, but review there is no problem. Seen in the Rin 37a. Review no problem, but new material is too much. However, they should review what was studied previously. Okay. For this does not involve tremendous strain. So they already got the idea, and now they will just review it. No problem. Continue. The children should never be interrupted from their study, even for the building of the temple. So Rambam is very clear about the child study. It's so important. As we said before, our sages say that the world stands on the study of the Torah, and they're going to say two great sages. I don't remember, Rabbi maybe. I don't remember who said so that's so the whole world exists on the breath of the small children who study Torah, and he said not on your breath and mine. Of course, what they are learning, what we are learning, it cannot be compared. So yeah, because you cannot compare. Their breath is so pure because they do not know sin, and ours not so much. Even of course they are very humble, but that's what they said. Commentary on the Talmud Shabbos 119b makes this statement in the context of the description of a great merit of the children's study, as mentioned in the previous Halachah. Right, so they study, don't interrupt them. Indeed, this appears to be the Rambam's logic in the entire Halachah. Since the children's study is so important, no unnecessary interruption should be made. This rigorous schedule of study is not followed today. So today, I mean, the children would rebel after one day. So they want to play, they want to do this, and they want to that. So unfortunately, among the reasons given are different goals for the Torah study at present from those in the previous generations, as described in commentary to chapter 1, Halachah 12. Alternatively, if today youth were subjected to such a schedule, they might rebel and no advance would become of it. Unfortunately. Right? So today, you can push only so much. So if in olden days, so a son could not even imagine to say no to a father. What do you mean say no? He can he can get kicked for just saying no to the father. But today they talk back and disrespect parents, unfortunately. Okay, so continue. Halachah number 3, next halachah. The teacher of the children who leaves the children and goes out, or remains with them and perform other work, or is lazy in the instruction, is included in the admonition. Yirmiyahu 48:10. Curse be he who performs God's work deceitfully. Therefore, if it is proper to select a teacher who is God-fearing, God teaches the children proficiently and instruct them diligently. And unfortunately, that's case from long time ago, and unfortunately, it is the case today in some yeshivas, and One of my students asked me, like, can I study this and this on this class? I say, why would you like study in that different class, different subject? Why is that? There is no teacher. No, there is a teacher, but he say that we can do whatever we want, like almost no do. It's crazy. So it's one of these lazy teachers, right? That's what Rambam is talking about. So he does not want to like spend time and teach the children. I think it was one of the secular studies. I think I don't remember what was the topic, but yeah, I think a teacher of children who leaves the children and goes out. Commentary. Baba Basra 8b relates that Rav once found Rav Shmuel Bar Shilat strolling in a garden. He reproved him. Have you abandoned your faithfulness? Rav Shmuel answered him, you haven't seen me strolling like this for 13 years. Furthermore, even now I am thinking about the children. So I'm not sure what was the story, why he had to go, but looks like he had a very good reason to go. Maybe he needed to go to the bathroom, whatever it was. But even then, he was thinking about children. So he's not abandoning them. So one more time, a teacher of the children who leaves the children and goes out or remains with them but performs other work. Okay, other work. What does it mean? Commentary. The commentaries have explained the source of this halachah as follows. The Yerushalayim Talmud and my 7:3. So in Yerushalayim Talmud, they go by Mishnah. So Mishnah goes chapter and Halachah in this chapter. That's how they structure. Okay, that's why it says Demai 7:3. Relates that Rabbi Yochanan encountered a teacher who looked emancipated. When the sages inquired about him, his colleagues explained that he fasted. Rabbi Yochanan was very critical. If a normal hired worker is forbidden to undergo penances, lest he not produce as much as desired, how much more so does that apply to someone going God's work? Accordingly, since we find that a person hired to do one job should not perform another at the same time. Tosefta Baba Metzia 4:7. It can be assumed that the teacher should refrain from doing so. So the story is they found this sage and he looks very weak. Right? They ask, well, what's the problem? He's fasting. So I say, you're not allowed to fast. So and the parallel is the hired worker. So you hired him to work in your field because he looks strong and I don't know, he's young and he looks strong. And this younger strong guy decided to be a great tzaddik. And he decided to fast. And even if he wants to work good, he simply does not have any strength to do that. You understand? He's very weak. I don't know, maybe first 2-3 hours there is no problem. But after that, it started kicking in. I mean, 3 hours, I mean, in a day. Right? So it's kicking in and that's it. So it's like, in some sense, he's stealing from his employer. Meaning if his employer would know that this guy is going to fast, right? He would not hire him. It's very simple. And the same parallel is here. So he said, needless to say, you're doing God's work, meaning what is God's work? To teach his children. Right? Which is very, very important. Right? So he's not allowed to fast. So, I mean, as we said, sometimes these children, they would drain all of the energy. You have to be patient. And if you're very weak and they take advantage of you, so you might get angry with them, upset, but it's not their fault, it's your fault. So, okay, so one more time this sentence, because it's a lot of commentaries here. From the beginning, same sentence. A teacher of children who leaves the children and goes out, or remains with them but performs other work, or is lazy in their instructions. Commentary. As is obvious from Hilchot Sehirut 10:7. This includes two elements: A, one who did not instruct the students, or B, one who erred in their instruction. That's a big problem, right? Some people would learn something from this rabbi, from the speaker, from this clown, and they would remember, and it's almost impossible. I'm talking about adults. With children, it's like written on a stone, right? Chiseled on a stone. It's almost impossible to get it out that. But even in adults, whatever they heard, and they like the idea, and you explain why it is not true, and they would agree. And I don't know, 1 hour later, next day, they would repeat this idea. Not because Chas v'Shalom they want to go against you, but that's how they remember, right? So that's why we have to be careful from whom we learn. Otherwise, you would remember wrong ideas, that ideas against Torah, and that's it. It's very hard to take them out, get them out. So all of these people that we just listed is included in admonition Yirmiyahu 48:10, who says, "Cursed be he who performs God's work deceitfully." So as Rambam repeated many times today, that teaching children is actually God's work. Thereby, it is only proper to select a teacher who got God-fearing. So God-fearing meaning what? That you can trust him, your child, that he's not going to do bad things to that child. Chas v'Shalom, as we know today, all of these pedophiles and stuff like that, right? All of these monsters, what they do to the children, and that let's say he's not monster, but he's just lazy. He's they close the door, and the children enjoy. They play, they do whatever they want. They climb in the walls, and that's what they want to do, right? But if he's God-fearing person, he's going to try to teach them and to instruct them in the proper way. So one more time, therefore, it is only proper to select a teacher who is God-fearing, teaching the children proficiently, and instruct them diligently, proficiently. 21. In his commentary to Halachah 6, the case of Mishnah, so interprets one who teaches large quantity of material, proficient. In his commentary to Psalm 45:2, Rav Sadia Gaon translate these words as expert. I mean, it's two different things, to be expert or a lot of material. But I guess don't keep the pressure. So if you lose the hold, they're going to be lazy. But if you keep the pressure, I guess, meaning you give a lot of material, not too much, so not overburden them, but a lot enough for them, and plus I guess this person has to be expert, not just saying things. And instruct them diligently. Commentary. Baba Basra 21a and b emphasizes the importance of the precise study by relating the following story. After Yov returned from slaying the males of Edom, it's Shmuel Beis 11:16. King David asked him to explain his action. He replied, "Doesn't the Dvarim 25:19 state, wipe out of males, Zachor, of Amalek?" David told him, "You are mistaken. The verse reads, wipe out the memory, Zecher." So it's the same letters, but the different pronunciation. Zecher of Amalek, meaning memory of Amalek. Yov told him, "I heard Zachor. I learned that Zachor." That's how he learned, right? Later, Yov sought out his teacher and chastised him severely for his carelessness. I'm not sure if they killed them or not. I don't remember the end of the story. But he rebuked this teacher and teacher, okay, one word. Okay, there are so many words that you say. Am I obligated to correct everybody? So, but from this incident, you see that yeah, you have to correct everybody every time. Of course, sometimes like if you're going to interrupt question too many times, it's not going to work out so well for that person. But for children, or when it's very wrong, so of course you have to explain them, because what happened. 22. Okay, so we finished that. Next halakha number 4. A man who is unmarried should not teach children because of the mothers who visit the children. No woman should teach the children because of the fathers who visit the children. Okay. So number 4 from the beginning is commentaries. A man who is unmarried. However, a married man may teach even if his wife is not living with him at present. Maggid Mishnah, Hilchot Isurei Biyah, 22:13. Others authority based in Yerushalayim Talmud, Kiddushim 4:11, prohibit a man from teaching children if his wife is not in the same city. So maybe it was not uncommon in olden days when a man would go somewhere, travel to different place and try to make a living, to do something, right, to work, and it's possible that he went from somewhere else and he's now in this town, in this village, and teaching children, and his wife is somewhere else, so maybe he's going to see her on holidays 6 months from now, 4 months from now, right? So according to Rambam, no, it's not according to Rambam. Who is according to? Okay, it's still Rambam, right? So he said even if wife is in another town, there is no problem, so he can still teach because he's coming back. Okay, but otherwise he should not. Why? So a man who is unmarried should not teach children because of the mothers who visit the children. Number 24, lest he be aroused by women. Hilchot Isurei Biyah, same place. And that's it. I mean, the mothers are bored at home, the fathers are working, so they this cute young teacher that very smart, right? A woman should not teach children. 25. Even if she's married. Case of Mishnah. Why? Right? Because of the fathers who visit the children. 26. Commentary. Lest the transgressor prohibition of yichud, being alone in a private place with someone of opposite sex. See Isurei Biyah, same place. So this yichud is a thing where a man and a woman, if they're not related, related meaning it's his wife, his daughter, or his mother, the granddaughter also, right? So they cannot be in a closed room. Right? There is some exception if other people can come in and out, but otherwise that's like basic prohibition. Right? So maybe like she would come to, or a father would come to parent-teacher conference, and that's not very good idea. Some authorities maintain that this prohibition applied only to classrooms of the previous generations, which were often private and quite secluded. In a contrast, they maintain there is no prohibition exists in today's large schools. However, it is questionable if the conclusion can be reached in view of the text of Hilchot Isurei Biyah. So maybe, so if it's a parent-teacher conference and and it's still going on, like all of these children go like from one room to another, there is no problem, because even though it's not their time, but the next child is coming, next child. So somebody is going to open the door, nothing is going to happen. So it's not yichud. But otherwise, if it's they say it's private and he's the only father who came, that's a different story. And the same with all our professions, right? So we have to be very mindful of this prohibition. Check the time 1 second. Any questions on what we said? Alright, so then continue. Number 5. A maximum of the 25 should study under one teacher. If there are more than 25, but fewer than 40, an assistant is appointed to help him in their instructions. If there are more than 40 students, 2 teachers are appointed. Okay, so let's see from the beginning and we're going to explain. Maximum of 25 students should study under one teacher. But today in yeshivas, I mean, in all that I don't know many, but some it's much less. It's not 25, it's not even 20. In many of them, like it's 15 or less in a class, so it's very proficient, of course. A maximum 25 students study under one teacher. If there are more than 25, but fewer than 40, assistant is appointed to help him in the instruction. An assistant, so who is assistant? Commentary. Not the commentary of the Nimukei Yosef to Baba Basra 21a, which resolved the apparent contradiction between Rambam's decision and that passage. Rabbi Asher interpreted the passage differently. Okay. So they needed assistance. Is appointed to help him in their instructions. 28. Rashi Baba Basra states that assistant would listen to the verses read by the teacher and then lead the children in their repetition. So I guess maybe somebody younger, more energetic with a strong voice. And that's the assistant. Okay. Continue. If there are more than 40 students, commentary, class should be divided. So, right. 2 teachers are appointed. So it's not like one teacher and 2 assistants. No, you need 2 teachers. More than 40, 2 teachers. Commentary. 2 conclusions can be derived from these statements. A. 25 students is the maximum class size desired. B. This is the minimum service which community is required to afford its children. Meaning to have a class for 25 children. Shulchan Aruch Harav, Hilchot Talmud Torah 1.3 said that the above applies only to instruction of written law. Instruction in more complicated realms of the study requires even smaller classes. So here is like the reading Humash, that's one thing. Now they try to do Mishnah or Halachah or Gemara, so it's much complicated. However, a parent cannot demand of such instruction to be provided from communal fund. It's very interesting, right? As explained in the commentary to Halachah 1, chapter 1, Halachah 12, okay. Today, the goals of the study differ from those previous generations. On that basis, some schoolmasters excuse the willingness to exceed the limit on the teacher-student ratio mentioned here. I mean, as we said before, in olden days, there were no books. So most of the material that these children had to commit to memory. They knew by heart. Right? So today is a little different. Today we have books, but I'm not sure. This big class and everybody was different level of study. I'm not sure how is it manageable and how proficient is it. Probably not so much. Others state that they would like to establish such a ratio, but financial pressure prevents them from doing so. So financial pressure, meaning what? Not all of the parents are able to pay, right? And some of them looking for excuses, and some will lie on applications and stuff like that. So it's even though the child is accepted, okay, it's a great issue, but guess what? Because of all of these extra people, so there is no they have no money, and there is a little money coming in. There is no way for them to hire an extra teacher, right? So very interesting. So continue. What's number 30? Next halakha, number 6. A child may be transferred from one teacher to another teacher who is capable of teaching him at a faster pace, whether with regard to the written law itself or grammar. This applies when both are located in the same city, and those are not, and there is no river between them. However, a child should not be forced to travel from city to city, or even from one side of the river to another in the same city, unless there is strong bridge, which is not likely to fall readily over the river. Okay, so let's try to understand. So now this chapter is about children, but then it's not this chapter. It's only 2 more halachas, and then we're going to go turn to adults. Okay. So one more time, this number 6. A child may be transferred from teacher to teacher, transferred from one teacher to another teacher, who is capable of teaching him in a faster pace. So faster, I guess, more advanced. Note the commentary Halachah 4 for definition of this faster pace. Okay. Faster pace, whether with regard to the written law or itself or grammar. Grammar commentary. In the case of Mishnah, Rav Yosef Kara mentioned the passage from Baba Basra 21a, which questioned this, which is preferable: a teacher who teaches a student at a rapid pace, or one who instructs them more precisely, but a slower speed. The Shulchan Aruch, Yoreh De'ah 245:19, he concludes that it is preferable to take latter teacher, meaning more precisely. Error which children learn become permanent elements of their thinking process, as mentioned in the commentary to Halachah 3, as I said about adults. So they were trying to cover a lot of materials, and I'm not talking about examples that I give, but in general. So, and then they skip things, and in skipping things, a person, even an adult, most likely he's not going to go back and review and fulfill all of the details, right? That's why we always try to give as many details as possible, so it would be more comprehensible. Okay, and a person would have an example and remember by examples, I guess. Also very important. Continue. This applies to both when they're both located in the same city, meaning to teachers, and there is not a river between them. 33. In Lechan Mishnah states that Rambam derives this concept from Baba Basra, same place, which states, from time of Rabbi Yehoshua ben Gamla, a child was not transferred from city to city, but he would be transferred from synagogue to synagogue. Okay. The Rambam interprets the statement to mean that once the practice of employing qualified teacher in each community was instituted, there was no longer need to transfer a child from his hometown to another city. However, within the city itself, he could be transferred from one house of study to another if there is adequate reason. Okay, so it seems that they were trying to hire all of the qualified teachers, so the story was different. It's not like, 1 second, let me put it, send to voicemail. Sorry. So it's not like Sorry, I lost my thought. One synagogue, one study hall is very advanced, and another I don't know, only in the next city you have something like more advanced, right? So they were hiring qualified teacher. He can teach on this level, and he can teach on different level. I think that's what professionals do, right? Just because he's teaching like simple material does not mean that he does not know like more sophisticated stuff, right? Okay. So 33, continue. Okay. However, a child should not be forced to travel from city to city. I mean, a child alone because of the difficult involved in the journey, or even most of the traveling. When I say travel, it's meaning walking. Just involved in the journey. 34. Or even or even from one side of the river to another in the same city. Okay, so what does it mean? 35. Because of the danger involved. So sometimes they would not want to go like through the bridge, and they would try to cross like in the middle of the water, right in the middle of the river. 1 second. Unless there is strong breach, which is not likely to fall rapidly over the river. So let's see what time. Okay, so we have, I guess we can finish today this chapter. Number 7, a person whose house open to the alleyways to which other houses open, or even one whose house opens to a courtyard to which other houses open, desires to become a teacher of children. His neighbors may not protest against his decision. Rabbi Reuben Shlita said over this halachah many times. Similarly, should one teacher of the children come and open a schoolroom next to the place where a colleague is teaching, so that other children will come to him, or so that the children study under his colleague shall come to him, his colleague may not lodge a protest against him. As Yeshayahu 42:2 states, God desires for the sake of his righteousness to make the Torah great and glorious. So let's try to understand. Many times if you have like a shared courtyard, so you cannot open a business. So I mean you're going to open the business, make I don't know, some metal utensils. You're going to bank from the early morning until very late at night. It's not going to fly, right? They can forbid you, the Beis Din, or some other things, right? But base medrash for little children, even though of course the children allowed, of course, right? Allowed, and it's annoying, but guess what? Nobody is allowed to lodge a protest because it's so important. So let's do from the beginning, and we stop there. If a person whose house is open to the alleyway, to which other houses are open, so for us it's like local street, or even whose house open a courtyard, so courtyard is more private, right? To which other houses are open, desires to become teacher of children, his neighbors may not protest against his decision. 36. In Hilchot Shechinin 6:8 and 11, the Rambam mentioned certain restrictions which owners of the houses which open to the common alley can impose on each other. For example, one may not open a tailor shop or leather work. I mean, because it's going to stink, right? This leather work, because of the inconvenience and discomfort which might be caused, right? Though the opening of the schoolroom may also cause discomfort, because the parents will frequently visit. Okay, here's another reason, because parents will frequently visit, and the children may make noise, of course. The study of the Torah is important enough to override these considerations. So the person say, I'm a big professor, I need to work on my my project. Say, okay, Mr. Professor, The school children are more important than you study. Continue. Verse 36. Similarly, should one teacher of children come and open schoolroom next to the place where the colleague is teaching, so that the children will come to him, or so that the children studying under his colleague, right, under his colleague shall come to him, right? So meaning you open door like next door, and new children coming to you, and even children that used to go to your colleague, they also come into you, right? His colleague may not lodge a protest against him, right? In all other cases, you have two barber shops, two fruit stores. They, of course, they can lodge protest, and most likely they would require the second guy just to close or move out. Or, I mean, if it's a very busy street, they would allow it to stay. Though such a practice would not be allowed in any other profession, if the new competitor came from a different country, right? See Hilchot 6:8, an exception made regarding Torah teaching. Why? Because it's a healthy competition. Teaching 37. As the Yeshayahu 42:2 states, God desired, for the sake of his righteousness, to make the Torah great and glorious. Great and glorious, number 38. And so it's last commentary. Baba Basra 21a is a source of this halacha. Does not quote this verse, but rather explains the envy of the teacher will increase the knowledge. So when this teacher understands that it's his parnasa, the children are going to go to different teacher, so it's going to increase his knowledge, and he would be motivated to teach better, right? Yad Melachi explains that the Rambam frequently substituted a different verse or explanation for the one he quoted by the Talmud. Right? It's very interesting. If he feels that his choice is more explanatory. So it's not like a Rambam did not know what Talmud says. He feels it's a better explanation. However, the advantage of this verse chosen by the Rambam over the reason why the Talmud requires explanation. In the resolution can be understood that this law has two dimensions. One relevant to the laws governing the consideration neighbors must afford each other and the possibility of competition between them. And then relevant laws of the Torah study. So two separate things. One is competition, another is an annoyance to the neighbors. The Talmudic passage cited above deals primarily with the right of the neighbors. So, okay. Thus, it explains to a person who might feel that a colleague has overstepped his rights that he himself will benefit, because the spirit of the competition will motivate him to increase his own Torah knowledge. So it's not like he's going to lose because it's not enough children, right? Otherwise, you're also going to benefit. Why? You're going to learn more, right? You're going to try more, and then you're also going to benefit. In a contrast, in this halachas, Rambam deals primarily with the, with importance of the Torah study. Hence, he quotes the verse which emphasizes how important in increase in Torah study. Okay, so we start here. Finish that chapter number 2. So I mean, it's very interesting. So any questions on what we said? Or any other topic? Let me stop here.
Yeah, other topic.
Yeah, go ahead, definitely.
Is that law allowed to claim a benefit from the state for some disability if it was denied before?
Why not? Yeah, there's no problem.
So there is no problem in
it's not no. Okay, yeah, let me explain it. I mean, it's logical, right? So maybe last year, they didn't have a budget, so they had budget only for 2,000 people. Now they increased the budget, and now they for 2,500 people. So last time they denied, now they can approve. It's not like the person is lying or they did not qualify. They had that separate limited budget. It's not like there is no problem.
And what about if we take into account that there is not economic struggle anymore?
I mean, if they don't have a budget, so they would say no. So, but maybe they do. Maybe some people died. Maybe some people moved to different country. Maybe they moved to to different programs. So it's always worth to try, I would say.
Another question is, when does the halachic day start? At sunrise or at dusk?
Well, it depends for what.
Because it's some confusion. It's not very clear if the day starts with sunrise or in Erev time.
So one more time. It depends for what. So for some things it starts with a nightfall. For some things it starts with a sunrise. So for example, Torah study and all of this, it starts with a sunrise. That's when we say new blessings on a Torah study. You understand? So, and all other things, they start at night. Most of the things I would say start at night, but some of them start during the day. So there's no. If you have a specific example, we can look at it
I was more likely referring to when the time the day starts officially, when is the change of day, because there is a difference with the Gregorian calendar that changed the day at midnight.
Yeah.
Jewish calendar changed the day at nightfall.
Nightfall, yes, yeah, that's true, yes. At nightfall, that's the calendar. Yeah, go ahead.
But we say the day changed, but in the Jewish calendar we say the day changed, but the day has ended and the new day started, but it's still dark. So that's not very clear.
And again, what do you mean? The day.
For example, it's the first day. I think it's called Yom Rishon.
Okay.
So when it changed to the second day, that I'm not sure if this Yom Sheni. When it changed to this second day, we say it's a new day, but it's not day because it's still dark.
Oh, I see what it is. Okay, so we call it day, I would say 24-hour period. That's what we call day. But it is a day, new day, date. Let's call it date. But it is the day started at night. So, but the same is Gregorian. Even if it started at midnight, it's still night, right? So it's not. I'm not sure why you say you have this confusion. It's exactly the same. I mean, lechavdil. I don't want to compare us to them, but yeah, same idea.
And a final question is if we are allowed to sing psalms, but take into account they can include some holy name.
Mm-hmm. So there is the thing about a very famous question, and an important question if you're allowed to listen to the music, period. right? So especially when some people think it's if it's a Jewish music, whatever they call Jewish music, so maybe it's a little more lenient. These people, many songs, what they do, they take one line from prayers or one line from Psalms, and they sing it over and over, 2 lines, and some say it's the desecration of the Holy Torah. You understand? Maybe it sounds very good and you want to dance, but it's not very proper thing to do, right? And if let's say if during the prayers, let's say it's Friday night and you sing the Psalms, there is no problem, you enjoy. So you say Hashem's name as it is. But if you, let's say you want to sing the psalm, if you sing like the whole verse, you can pronounce Hashem's name. There is no problem. There is no problem, and it's many of our poskim say it's actually proper to do that. Of course, if you in a proper place and stuff like that. But if you, for some reason you don't want, so you just say Hashem. That's it. There is no problem. You say Hashem.
In this particular case, I'm talking about Psalm 91,
Okay.
which contains name Most High. How would be with the key this name? Because El is Kel is Elohim, but Most High. How would be with the key?
So you say Kel.
Oh, okay. So this
So we change the first letter, yeah. So I mean, everybody understand what you're trying to say, but it does not sound correct. I mean, it's not sound like this name, and it in some sense it does sound as that name. You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay. So we stop here then, and until tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to learn Halachos of Brachas. Thank you very much, and good night.